buildings we're going to be swinging back around a little bit later today, but just to give you a little bit of a taste of it, these buildings are not real. They're just facades, just false fronts. We use these for the exterior scenes, showing actors going into businesses like the coffee shop or the hair salon. The theater to your left, by the way, if you've seen Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire, the scene where he was late for Mary Jane's play, he had to save the world and go to the play. He reports to being earnest, he was late. He got turned away by Bruce Campbell, made a cameo. It's right there. Same location. Now we're going to go from the concrete jungle into the actual jungle. Welcome to Skull Island. We work with many film directors, including this one on your screen, Academy Award winner Peter Jackson.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to direct movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and I wanted to become a filmmaker. Yeah! Action! I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up into the future.
Directed by George Lucas before the Star Wars films came out. We also have the Ferrari from Magnum PI, Back to the Future vehicles, the Flintstones vehicles. These are golf carts covered by a shell made of fiberglass. A lot of times we'll use the actual car for the close-ups. We call that the hero car. Other times we'll have a car placed on a flatbed truck. We'll have the actors in the car pretending like they're driving, and they have several cameras facing them in the windshield on the actual truck. By the way, we have the gyrosphere from Jurassic World. Anyone know what's missing from the gyrosphere? If you know the answer, shout it out. The glass, right? It was never there. No real glass. It was CGI, computer-generated imagery. If they used real glass, you would see the reflection of a crew guy in the background having a sandwich. To take you out of the story. That tank, you don't want to take that into battle. That is made mostly out of plywood. Lighter material. This bubble lab was on the edge of a cliff. And it's made mostly out of wood as well. If you look around the windows, you'll see the material. And towards the back of it, you'll see the wood splintering. Now, to convince you it's metal, we'll just add sound effects like this. Very convincing. Sound is so much more important than you might think. Whoa, wait a minute. Dinosaur attack. Uh-oh. They're supposed to be in their cages. I was wondering why the cages are empty. Get ready for the Spinosaurus. This one's a doozy. Look out, 3, 2, 1! It doesn't do anything. So this is how we do weather effects, using sprinklers positioned way above the camera. We just let the water fall down naturally. And it's very convincing. The water is much larger than drops coming out of the sprinklers, so they can appear better on the camera. One thing that's really difficult to film is nature rain. You don't see it on TV when you're watching it during a football game, during a weather sequence. Whoa. Okay, guys, that was brace yourself right about now. Flash flood. Ah! Look out there. Woo! A gallon of recycled water released from the tank at the top. And this is the aftermath of what you see after that. Martin Short. Also in the 90s, a music video called Escapades with Janet Jackson did it right here. Now across the border, we're going to go from the old Mexico set to a little place called 6 Points, Texas. This is where we filmed our westerns since 1915, March 15th, the first year. Over 200 westerns. They're short films, but nonetheless, still westerns. A lot of these western stars that are on your monitor, Audie Murphy, Clint Eastwood, and Kirk Douglas work with us. And we still use them today. There's a not reboot, there's a continuation of a show called Quantum Leap. That was a show back in the late 80s and early 90s with Scott Bakula. And it stars Raymond Lee and Ernie Hudson, one of the original Ghostbusters. They were using this set for their show. It's a time travel show. It's a sci-fi drama. If you've seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood with Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio, same set. About 45 minutes of the movie feature. Welcome to Genovia. In Princess Diaries, Royal Engagement, this is where Anne Hathaway did the parade scene. And if you've seen a show called The Good Place, this is seen as the afterlife. In that production, Ted Danson and Kristen Bell.
You, Eleanor Shellstrom, are dead.
Cool.
This location, the afterlife, come on. I've never ever seen this.
You're in the good place.
But in those early days, during the silent film era that Jermaine was talking about, when they were making the tunnel westerns, they also used to make a lot of jungle-themed movies around that time as well. They were very popular. And so they used to keep almost an entire zoo worth of animals right here on the lot. Lions, one of the biggest hits of all time. If you watch that movie again, or if you get a chance to see it for the first time, it really does hold up, even after more than 48 years now. It still feels very modern. It almost feels like a movie that could have come out last week. But when you watch that movie, one of the things you notice, you hardly ever see the shark. And that was not the plan. Steven Spielberg wanted to feature those mechanical sharks much more prominently. But they had, it was admitted by the special effects coordinator on that movie not long ago. He admitted they had never tested those mechanical sharks underwater until they got out, put them into the salt water of the Atlantic Ocean. Salt water immediately began to corrode all of the wiring, the gears. They could never get the thing to work. Eventually, they were 100 days, almost 3.5 months behind schedule. Steven Spielberg thought it was to the end of his career. Finally decided, at the suggestion of the woman that was the film editor on the project, a woman named Verna Fields, he finally decided to shoot a lot of the movie from the point of view of the shark. Turn the camera lens into the shark's eyes. That way you don't have to show the shark as much. And it really makes the movie more suspenseful. At the time that movie came out, it was the biggest moneymaker in motion picture history by a wide margin. And even to this very day, if you adjust it for inflation, Jaws is still the 7th biggest money-making movie ever released in the United States. All right, we're on a street now seen all the time on television. We call this Colonial Street. It was built on this location in 1980 for the making of the Tom Hanks movie The Burbs. But it was, a lot of these houses are quite a bit older than the 80s, and they were moved up here from other parts of our property. This yellowish house with the white door on the left, 1433, that's currently where the lead character lives on one of the top-rated shows on Netflix, Never Have I Ever, from creator Mindy Kaling. This gray house with the red door on your left, that house originally was elsewhere, and it was originally built for a movie that starred a chimpanzee and a future president of the United States. Bedtime for Bonzo, back when starring the Bonzo the Chimp and a young actor, then not politician, just a young actor named Ronald Reagan. The important thing to know about these houses, though, none of these are real houses. None of them are finished off all the way on the inside. Some of them have a couple rooms on the lower level that can be used for filming, but for the most part, the scenes supposedly inside these houses always filmed on sets inside of sound stages elsewhere on the property. Where that treehouse is on the right-hand side, seems like some of you knew the show Superstore. The final scene of the final episode ever of the show Superstore, filmed right over there. Coming up on your left-hand side, the Blue House, 1434, is where Bree lived when this was Wisteria Lane on Desperate Housewives. The lighter blue house with the white door here on your left is going to be seen all the time on the upcoming Ted television series on Peacock from Seth MacFarlane. And the tan house with the square columns on your right, that's where Gabrielle lived on Desperate Housewives. But that house was originally built for a classic comedy that starred Jimmy Stewart, Harvey, where he has a 6-foot-tall invisible talking rabbit as a best friend. That same house from Harvey was used in another movie that starred 2 Academy Award winners, Tom Hanks and fellow Academy Award winner J.K. Simmons, a movie called Lady Killers. Right behind Norman's house, though, is one of the biggest sets ever constructed for a motion picture. The spectacular crash site set from Steven Spielberg's 2005 version of The War of the Worlds, starring Tom Cruise and Dakota Fanning. Now, the plane that you're looking at, the answer to the first question everybody has about that is yes. That was, once upon a time, a real, honest-to-goodness, fully functional 747. It had been decommissioned. They were no longer allowed to fly it. They were sitting in an airplane repository out in the Mojave Desert, about 120 miles from here. The producers of this film, Paramount Pictures, purchased that entire decommissioned 747 for only a little bit more than $60,000. Which is a pretty good price. Somebody probably drove here today in an SUV that cost more than that. But it cost them nearly $250,000 in transportation costs alone to get it here to lot and put it in place.
It's Jupiter's Plane, the nostalgic, small-time Southern California amusement park owned by former child star Ricky G. Park. there, look into the winking well and have your picture taken just like the kids in that old 90s movie Kid Share. That's what this whole place is loosely based on. Remember that one? No? What? A little further down, you can see the brand new Star Lasso experience. Built to showcase an unbelievable new live show. It's not looking so live.
I'm the reason the boogeyman begs his mama to look under his bed. And I'm the reason he just lost control of this whole operation. My name is Special Agent Luke Hobbs of the U.S. Diplomatic Security Service. And as of 16.9 seconds ago,
The 10th Fast and Furious movie. That's not counting the spin-off series, Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. They've said that this Fast X was the beginning of a trilogy that's supposed to wrap up the main franchise. In the next installment, Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw 2, the villain is played by Jason Momoa. Nightmare on Elm Street 6. Freddy's Dead, the Final Nightmare, which of course was not the Final Nightmare. But there's a scene in that movie, watch a big section of that movie where the kids are trying to escape from Freddy Krueger. They're in a van, they keep driving around trying to get out of town. How fast they drive, they get back to the same spot. All filmed there.